Hey everybody, Jem Schofield of the C47 and another episode of Gearbox 2.0. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at this brand new light just before NAB 2019. It's called the Area 48 Color, so let's get started. All right, kids, we are less than a week away from NAB 2019, and I think this is probably my 18th or 19th year attending the show, and I think I've only missed one NAB, which means I've been teaching there for probably 16 or 17 years. And I'm heading back to do some workshops, and look what showed up on my doorstep in a brown box, this light. Well, it didn't just show up on my doorstep. I've actually been using Area 48's light in this form factor for a long time, but the light I was using was their remote phosphor unit. So very similar, almost identical form factor, really great for small to no crew production, high output, 160 watt draw, tungsten equivalent about 1500 watts. And the reason I was using that light for so long, along with some other remote phosphor units, is historically, not in the last couple of years, but historically, the 1x1 panels that were coming to market had all kinds of issues. They would skew green, and so remote phosphor was really a solution for a lot of us to get consistently good color from an LED fixture. You have your blue LEDs, you put basically a phosphor panel similar to this in front of those LEDs, it excites them, and it also separates those LEDs from the phosphor. Longer life, more consistent color, blah-de-dee-blah-de-dee-blah. Now, fast forward to today. We have come a long way in terms of LED technology, and we know that color is becoming a big part of the language of what we're doing, and that's for a number of reasons. Part of it's just evolution in terms of what we're getting out of our fixtures. We're also moving towards bigger gamuts, and that means that eventually, especially when we can monitor the images that we're capturing with modern digital cinema cameras, we're going to be able to use color in different ways because our end audience, our viewing audience, is going to be able to see a much bigger palette than standard 709. So P3, 2020, blah, 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 blah. So here we have the Area 48 Color. So as I said before, form factor is very similar to the original Area 48. I'm just going to spin this around. It's going to make a little bit of noise here. And you can see the back of the unit. There are battery-based solutions for this. It is a 160 watt draw, so similar to the same output as the original Area 48, but with color. And one of the big changes here is the fact that the unit has a touch screen. Now, just to give you a little bit of the lowdown on what's inside of this fixture, because everybody has their own formula, inside of here there are RGB LEDs, but there are also tungsten and there are also daylight. So you have a mixture inside of there for all of that stuff. And there's not a lot to say. I mean, these things are built like tanks. They are really nice because everything is built into the entire unit. So you can see here that the battery and also, well, you don't see the battery here. That would mount slightly differently. But basically, your power supply or your battery is sitting on the back. So it's all self-contained. And then we go right here to our power in. And then we have DMX in, we have DMX out. And then, as I said before, the big upgrade here is this touchscreen. And basically what you do is you go in and you choose manual, DMX, or your system settings. I'm not going to get into all of the settings right now. This is a pre-production unit, so they are tweaking the firmware for the final unit that will go out to everybody. But we'll go into manual here, and we have two basic options. We have CCT, or correlated color temperature, and we have full for full color. So if we go into CCT, then what we get is we get a touchscreen here, plus minus green, And then we have our color temperature. We can go all the way from 2500 Kelvin to 10,000 Kelvin. And then we have our dimmer here for the unit. So we can just tweak that. Again, pre-production model here, but I'm just changing through from 2500 to 10,000 Kelvin so you guys can see what that looks like. Dim down right now to, well, now to 16%, just so that it doesn't blow out the camera too much. And again, there is a plus minus screen offset here. There's a save option. And then if I hit back, I go back to where we have CCT and full. If I go into full, then I start to see all of my options here for tungsten, daylight, red, green, blue. And I can basically, I can adjust those all independently of each other. In fact, if I go to all faders, then I see all of these faders here, and I can just take all of my RGB faders all the way down. I can just press this little button down here on the left-hand side, and you can see here that now in a second, I'm just going to be looking at my tungsten LEDs, and you can see that these suckers are super, super bright. In fact, brighter than when you're creating your color, mixing all of these things, as far as I can tell. I've got to do some more tests. But pretty exciting stuff. And then of course to be then able to go in and to adjust and use this with color is super awesome. I'm going to go back here now and go to the original menu, and you'll see under DMX again full NCCT. So we go in here and then you can map everything through DMX through the unit. Nice little touch here is when you're in manual, at least with the firmware that I'm looking at here, there's an LED off button, so you can very quickly just turn the unit on and off. Totally silent because there's no fan in this. It's all built in terms of the heat sink. The thing weighs about 10 pounds. I'm excited for you guys to check this out at NAB. There'll be some nice modifiers for it as well. And it's made by BB&S, but it's called the Area 48 Color. And there you have it. I'll see you guys next time on Gearbox.